is Gordon Hunt with Silicon Republic. We're at the final day of the BT Young Scientist exhibition, so let's go have some fun. Okay, so I'm here with Renuka. And Renuka, you're looking at biomarkers in esophageal cancer. Do you want to talk us through your project and why you did it?
Yeah, so my project is about finding biomarkers of esophageal cancer metastasis. So metastasis is the spread of cancer from the primary tumour to other areas of the body, and I wanted to find proteins that could be important in this process and could therefore be biomarkers of metastasis.
So talk us through this project. What did you do and what were your results?
Yeah, so basically I was trying to use bioinformatics, which is the use of online databases and software to come up with a conclusion that could be applied to the biological processes. So what I actually did was I identified what's known as a consensus motif, which is what my tool is, which is finding a pattern in proteins that would indicate that they're actually important to metastasis. And then I looked at the gene expression levels of these proteins in esophageal cancer tissue to see if they're upregulated or highly activated or not activated, and then seeing if they could be used as biomarkers in this sense.
Okay, I'm with James and Mark from Antrim, and you guys looked at people who cry when they cut onions. Do you want to explain what your project is?
So basically we made a spray to stop people from crying whenever they cut onions, and we simply used water, ice and baking powder.
So we had to find out why we cry, and basically in the onion there's an amino acid and an enzyme, and when it's cut these two meet and produce a gas, and it dissolves on the water moisture in your eye to produce sulfuric acid. So we knew that we needed to neutralise the sulfuric acid for a start. So the baking soda, it's a carbonate and it does that, and also the ice, it slows down the enzyme's activity rate and also makes the gas fall instead of rise. Well, we tested it with our home economics department, and they found that without our solution 75% of people's eyes stung, but with the addition of our solution that was reduced to 16%.
So basically we are comparing the fitness and agility of Irish dancers and footballers. We tested 45 footballers and 62 Irish dancers.
So you wanted to did you want to prove that you thought Irish dancing was a sport and people were telling you it wasn't?
Yeah, because people classify it as a hobby, but the amount of work we put into it, we think it is a sport.
Well, we did tests like the bleep test, sit and reach for flexibility, grip test for muscular endurance and standing and broad jump.
And do you want to tell us the findings?
The findings, yeah. Well, whenever we tested them, we got their results and we got an average from them, and then we compared them with the footballers. And then with the averages we got percentage differences. Like for example, in the bleep test, there was a 45% difference that the dancers won. But in the grip test, the footballers, they won by a 10% difference.
So guys, is Irish dancing a sport?
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
it is.
Okay, so I'm here with Aoife from Louth, and you looked at Venus flytraps and whether or not they could go vegan.
Yes, I did, and what I did was I took the nutrients that they would have gotten from the flies and I put those nutrients into the soil. So I wanted to see if they could grow as well and if they could grow faster or slower than a normal fly-eating plant.
So talk us through your actual project and how you went about testing that.
So what I did was I measured the length of each head of the trap. So each trap, I measured the length of the head of it every second day for about 6 weeks.
And did you compare them with Venus flytraps that were eating flies?
Yeah, so I had 2 plants that were eating flies and 2 plants that weren't. And I found by the end that the average amount that they grew, the average amount that the vegan plants grew was about 3.14 millimeters. And the non-vegan plants was about 6.9 millimeters. So even though it's not that much, I could still make a conclusion, and I could still say that even though the Venus flytrap or the vegan plants, they were,
let's call them vegan flytraps.
Yeah, the vegan even though the vegan flytraps grew a lot slower and they were weaker by the end of it, they still grew. So maybe if I had soils that were more native to their original adaptation, or I had more time, more equipment, more samples, it might have had a different result.